Hey, Riding Side Saddle, it's Lisa.
And Tammy.
And we have a guest. You have heard this guest before. We've had Erika on from Grounded Roots Chiropractic. Gosh, I don't even know what season it was. Was it about a year ago?
It's over a year, I want to say.
About there.
Yeah.
So I'm not even sure what season that was, like 4, maybe 3, 4, somewhere in there.
It's been a minute.
But when we had her on last, we were really just talking very, very high level about women's health and chiropractic and the nervous system and things like that. We are asking Erika to come back on today. Hi, Erika.
Hello, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us again.
I'm just blabbering away. We asked Erika to come back on because she has some really specific information that she has outlined in an ebook, in fact. And it is about women's health, which obviously is like right up our alley.
Sure is.
And the endocrine system.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why don't you tell us about your ebook?
Yeah, so the ebook that I have created came out of a need from just talking to women every single day about hormones, about health in general. So that's where the drive to create this ebook came from. But it has a lot of different things in it. It has what the endocrine system is, how we can start to balance it, supplements, hormone-friendly recipes, different things that we can do today to start to balance our systems. It's over 90 plus pages of just good information for everybody, from somebody who's just starting their menstrual cycle all the way up through menopause, and different things we can help along the way.
And their objectives over time, right? That's awesome. What is the name of it?
It is Hormone Health and the Endocrine System.
And where can we find it?
That's hot.
We'll include it on this drop down if you guys can include it in
attach a link.
Otherwise, it'll be on my website. But
Okay.
I'll get you all the information.
Okay.
So all
right.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. It is hot, by the way. This revs me right up.
It really does. For sure. Yeah.
All right.
Your eyes are big right now.
And I mean it. This shit revs me up. This is the reason why we started Riding Side Saddle, because women do not, including myself, including you, we do not know about our bodies.
Nope. And we don't know how to support our bodies, and we don't know how to support each other during each phase of our life, really.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. We were literally just having conversation before we came out here to say, by the time you're of the age that Tammy and I are, where we're, at menopause or just almost right there, hoping, praying, because it's been such a shit show, right? That we don't know how in the world we got here.
Right.
Yeah.
And as we're learning, and as we continue to talk to different people, and you specifically, about a system that, we haven't talked about on this
The
podcast.
endocrine system?
Right. We
Not
haven't
really.
talked. I mean, that's the system that manages your hormones.
Yeah.
Correct.
So why
I feel like
wouldn't
we
be
did a
talking
little bit
about
when
it?
we talked to Pam, in our first season.
Yeah.
Second season, maybe. It was early on. We did touch on it a little bit.
Right. But
was
this
a
is
little
the
bit.
root, right?
Absolutely.
We kind of talked about symptoms with
Yep.
Pam and things that are going wrong, but we didn't necessarily come back to the root, which is the endocrine system.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
That's
and we didn't talk about it as it relates to the central nervous system, which is what chiropractic care focuses on.
Correct.
So these two are connected.
Absolutely. And that's where I truly that's how this all came about, is we can do all of those things to balance our hormones. And I'll talk about that in just a second. But if our nervous system, which is actually controlling our endocrine system, isn't balanced, and our nervous system, our brain and spinal cord is so dysregulated from whether it's stress, whether it's trauma, whatever it may
Just
be.
life. Yeah.
Our endocrine system isn't going to work correctly. So let me talk a little bit about what your endocrine system actually is, so that our listeners actually know what we're talking about.
lay it on me, Erika.
So your endocrine system is actually your control center. So it's going to control all of your hormones in your body. There's a couple different parts of your endocrine system or different organs that make up your endocrine system. So hypothalamus, which is going to be your master control. So it's going to control your pituitary, your thyroid, your adrenals. All of that is done through your hypothalamus, which sits right up in your brain.
Yeah.
It's just a little organ that is controlling everything. Basically, your
It's
master.
really tiny. It's like your master
It is.
computer, isn't
Yes,
it? Yeah.
yeah,
The
master
motherboard,
computer.
huh?
The
Yep.
motherboard.
Mhm.
Yeah, motherboard would be a great comment for that. So your hypothalamus is going to help control your pituitary, which is actually your hormone manager and your messenger. So it's influencing all of those other glands. So if your hypothalamus isn't working, it's not going to control your pituitary correctly, which then is going to affect your thyroid, which we hear about thyroid all the
Yes,
time
we
in
do.
women. And the reason it comes up so often is because I think when our thyroid is out of control, that's where we see the weight gain and the weight that's just hanging there and it's stubborn, it's not going away. But that's because your thyroid is your metabolic regulator. So once again, if your hypothalamus is not correct, your metabolism or your thyroid isn't going to be correct either. And then your adrenals are going to regulate the stress that we come in contact with, or your cortisol.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. The bad C
That
word.
word. That word.
The C
The
word.
worst C word.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, someone,
It's not worst, but
It's pretty bad.
It's big.
I had been to a holistic, I call her a holistic chiropractor. I don't know if she calls herself that. That's what I call her. Anyway, she's the one who told me that when your ovaries start to shut down, your adrenals pick up the slack of your ovaries.
Yeah.
So when your adrenals are already stressed in your 40s, because you've spent the last 20 years of your life hustling hard and taking care of everyone but yourself, your adrenals are already stressed. They can't do the work they need to do to pick up the slack that the ovaries are now from the work
Asking
that's
for.
not doing.
Yeah.
Right. So your body needs to transition in that way. But if you don't have healthy adrenals, then you don't have a healthy transition into menopause. That whole perimenopausal phase is much worse than it needs to be if your adrenals aren't healthy. And starting to, focus on your adrenals in your 40s is not going to get them healthy because they're
It's gonna
already
take a
they're
lot
working
longer.
extra
Correct.
hard
because they started the race right before
exactly
they were supposed to, really.
correct.
Yeah.
Gosh, there's so much.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
The knee bone
There's
is
so much
connected
of
to the...
like, so why didn't somebody tell me?
Yeah, I think
Why didn't I know?
We could make
Oh.
a song about all of this because
Yeah,
it really
100%.
is like the elbow is connected to the arm bone,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yes.
that philosophy or
Yeah,
that song. The hypothalamus is connected to the
pituitary gland, to the thyroid, to the adrenals, to
Right.
the pancreas,
Oh my
to your ovaries.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So then, and
So
then
we think of these systems. Sorry, I'm really sorry. Like
You're
my
fine.
mind is, I'm in 100 different places now. We really think of all of these not symptoms, all of these systems as being
Separately.
separate.
Yeah,
Correct.
but they are
Separate
absolutely
systems.
not.
I couldn't get that to come out. But they're not at all.
and that's why, like, when I talk about it, it makes so much sense to me because I look at the whole body, just like when somebody comes in for chiropractic care, I look at the nervous system and that whole body and where that root cause is coming from versus just like the low back pain or the headache. Like,
Right.
no different when we talk about women's health. If it's menstrual cycles, it's okay. It's like, okay, yes, maybe your ovaries and your reproductive system.
That's part of it. Right.
That's a small part. But
Right.
like, okay, what are your adrenals doing? What's your thyroid doing?
Right.
What's your hypothalamus doing? How is that all working and interconnected?
Right. The ovaries are kind of the end of the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah,
So it's that going upstream and figuring out where is it deficient?
correct.
How far back can we go and find health?
Absolutely.
And then go backwards from
Right.
there.
And then
Yeah,
it
or
will
come forwards from
reroute
there.
itself.
Right,
Mhm.
right. So what system? So if we get all the way to the hypothalamus and we've found deficiency, now we're at the hypothalamus and we're still not at health. We got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or it could be that the hypothalamus is deficient and it's causing deficiencies throughout the rest of the stream. So if you don't go back far enough,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, if you don't go back far enough, you're not going to fix it.
Correct.
Exactly.
So if you get all the way to the thyroid and like that's not you've got deficiency up to there, but you get to the pituitary and that's looking good, then you can start at the thyroid.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yep.
But if you get all the way to the hypothalamus and you're like, so we've got work to do in all of these areas. It not like you can't start working on the thyroid.
Right, because it could
Because
be further back than that.
if you know the hypothalamus isn't functioning properly,
Right.
then you can't start in the middle of that and
Right.
hope for it to be better.
Right.
Yes, and like the beauty of it though is it like exactly what you're saying. They're all connected though. So like if you start at one end,
Right.
you can still go the other way, or you can go vice versa. Start at the top end and then go down, because they're gonna all work. If we start to heal them, they're gonna all start to work better. Does that make sense too? Like
So you could see some
it does.
improvement.
Yes,
Even
but
if
like-
you're not getting all the way to the root cause.
correct.
Really.
But if we get to that root cause and really what part of the system is deficient or not working correctly or has a lot of stress on it, then we're really going to see those results or those changes.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
So starting somewhere is better than doing nothing.
Correct.
That's for sure.
Correct. And I think we just have to think of it as the whole endocrine system and the nervous system versus just the ovaries or just the pituitary.
Right.
Just
Correct.
looking at it as a whole system.
Correct. Which we really don't do.
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely.
Right.
We're
mean,
very
that's not-
systematic driven,
We
like
are.
symptomatic driven
Right.
society, as opposed to the root of the issue
Yeah.
society.
Exactly.
All right. So we talked through the thyroid.
Yep.
So hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid.
Adrenals with cortisol and your
Mhm.
stress responders. And then we go into pancreas, which is going to be your blood sugar regulation.
Regulating. Uh-huh.
Yep. And then you go into your ovaries, which is where your estrogen and progesterone are going to be, and regulating that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's literally like top down of how the body works.
Interesting. I don't know a lot about the endocrine system. I did not know that the hypothalamus was in there,
Yeah.
for instance.
I didn't either.
I didn't know that your ovaries were part of the endocrine system. I guess I didn't put them in there. I put your thyroid in there for sure, and maybe your pancreas. Pituitary, no, that never crosses my mind,
And
right?
like when I look at it and I think about it, the reason I add those organs and I talk about those organs is because we need those organs to impact the next organ.
Right.
It's not.
That's my point, though.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I
not
don't.
just your adrenal gland is
Right.
stressed. It's like, okay, but
But why is it?
what's
What
not
isn't working? What
signaling
is not
to your
supporting
adrenals?
it?
Yeah.
Right.
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 And your endocrine system, and I only know this based off of my own health history, but it also impacts like hormones as it relates to, I think it's referred to as diabetes impetus. So that
'Cause your
actually,
pancreas.
well, it has to do with your bladder and your urine. Like if there are situations where you can be indicated that you are so thirsty and you keep drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking because your endocrine system, like that impacts that. So those hormones, we're talking about it from a perspective of women's health, but those hormones impact even broader than that, right?
Correct.
Well, and I mean, bringing your whole self into it, if your cells are not healthy and you can't receive the nutrients, including water, you are going to feel thirsty because your cells are signaling still thirsty because they're not able to absorb the water you're giving it. So like there's so many different things that are going on. This is what I find so difficult, is to pinpoint where I know I feel lousy. I know I don't feel good. I know I'm tired. I know I'm brain fog. I know I'm, throw in a symptom. And every time I try to find where I'm deficient and I think I've got it, it feels like the ball moves. So I fixed it a little bit here, but now, and I thought I was feeling better, but now I'm not.
I think that's because health and like our bodies in general are just ever evolving. there's because there's something else
It's
that's going to
always,
like
it's a moving target.
it's correct. It is a moving target, because as soon as we start to something's going really well, then what other stressor just came into our life that's now impacting it? Maybe it was some kind of big chemical stress, or maybe it was some kind of big emotional stress. Like, so once again, helping regulate your system, your nervous system, is great to continue to help all of those other systems work better.
I've also come to realize that what I consider to be not a major stressor, my body would beg to differ.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, I've been through worse.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
So I had, I don't know, I had a phone call today that was, maybe not so pleasant.
jarring.
Yeah. It wasn't, it wasn't a great call. It wasn't a great conversation, but whatever. It was just a conversation. That's what my brain says, right? Moving on. My body is in that fight or flight stage and is totally freaked out. All my cells are like running around and they don't know what to do because it was so stressful. But my brain says, wasn't that bad?
Right. I'm just going to let that go.
Oh, your body's keeping that as a score.
Yeah, it sure
on the
is.
fight or flight
Yes,
side.
exactly. So this is what I mean about the moving target. I often, you think, well, okay, manage my stress. Well, I don't think I am stressed. I had, so this stressful call that I didn't know was stressful is something I do every day in my job.
Yep.
This is just another day that ends in Y, but my body is like under attack. My brain says, this is what we do every day. No big deal. It's just another day. And my body is completely freaked out. There's a disconnect there. So, definitions, the way my body defines something, it may not be the way my brain defines it.
Well,
Correct.
Even though my brain is in my body, would
Right.
you all get on the same page already?
but you also justify things too, right? Like
Yes.
We all
this
do.
is
It's
this
human
is my
nature.
life. Like,
And I understand that.
traffic sucks. I go through traffic. Yeah, I'm making up examples, but I go through traffic every day. Like rush hour. Yeah, it's frustrating, but this is part of my life. So I just do it and get over with it. Right? Like, but that doesn't necessarily mean that to your point, that your body's not counting that. Like every single day we do this, and
Right.
every single day it's a deficit for me.
And I get that our brain's job is to keep us alive, right? And so if we need to rationalize, I don't mind my long commute because I can listen to a book,
Right.
or I can talk to my mother or whatever, right, to pass the time. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but your body is on high alert because there's so much information that's being brought in, and your brain is managing it at a very high level, and it's also trying to keep you alive. So if it allows in all of the stress that your body is feeling, if your brain allows you to realize it's under stress, you'll never make it. You'll never make it to the next stoplight because you'll just be in a puddle, right?
Mhm.
We have to do this and we have to keep going and we're safe and we're okay. But your body is saying, not okay, not okay, not okay.
Well, and I think that is why it's so important, as I've learned since I've met Erika, to have that continuous service to support.
Absolutely.
Right?
Your
To be
central nervous system.
Yes, to be able to say, yes, this is life. We are exposed to emotional stress, physical stress, chemical stress, environmental stress, like all of
All
the
of it.
stresses. And yes, this is life. So you're going to have to get on with it.
Figure out how to manage that.
But also realize that you have to support it on the other end regularly,
Yes.
because otherwise you will tank.
100%.
Right? Like that is the one thing I learned. And I remember last time we talked, Erika, up until meeting you and starting with chiropractic care regularly, and at first it was once a week for a couple of years.
That was a long time.
Yeah.
I did it.
I never had chiropractic care regularly until that. And I was in my late 40s, maybe 50 at the time, I'm not sure. Time flies when you're having fun. But
You're having chiropractic treatment.
but I
love
never,
it.
I would go to a chiropractor if my shoulder hurt or
Yep.
if
Your
I had
neck
back
hurt
pain
or-
or whatever. And that wasn't even until I was in my mid 40s. Like I didn't see a chiropractor until I was in my mid 40s.
Yeah.
So there is something to say your ovaries need chiropractic care
They do.
regularly.
They do.
If you're talking about the end of the bus, right?
Yes,
But
absolutely.
every part of you is impacted by that level of stress that we have to deal with regularly.
I think we last met with you almost 2 years ago. And I say that because I got a referral from you for a chiropractor
That's
because I
right.
don't live near where you practice.
Yep.
So you gave me somebody that was closer to my area, and I went to that clinic twice a week for almost a year. And now I'm on an every other week schedule.
It's been 2 years.
So it's been,
I
it
guess,
has been,
wow.
yeah, it's been that long.
Wow.
And when I first started having regular chiropractic treatments, and they warned me, they were like, "You're probably going to tank. Here are all the things that are in,
Disarray.
distress,
Yeah.
Yep.
and we'll fix it. But just so you know, you've been like this for a really long time. You're not going to feel better till you feel worse."
Yeah,
and
it's
tanked
layer by
hard.
layer. It's sometimes it's messy and
It
it's
was hard
to take those layers of stress off.
Yep. I tanked really, really hard. And once I got through it and to my first real, reevaluation, and the chiropractor said, I was really worried about you. I was really worried that we had done something that we couldn't fix because I tanked so hard. Yeah.
And we see that. That's very common because people think that healing should just be like you're climbing, and it should just be like a big step and you got there.
Yeah.
No,
It isn't linear.
It goes up and it goes down, and then it
Yes.
goes up really high, and then it comes down because we get to those different layers.
That's me. I'm who you're referring to.
100%. And
Yep.
that's where, I get chiropractic care weekly, if not twice a week, depending on my stress, because, healing is not linear. It is going to go up and down,
For
and it's going
sure.
to go all over the place.
Yeah.
And that's just because stress every single day.
Agree with that. We took this over and started blabbering
As
on.
we do. Sorry.
Did you want to point out anything else about the endocrine system as it relates to this?
I think we'll cover it in the next little episodes
Yeah,
of different things that we can look out of how we know our endocrine system may need a little bit of help, or our nervous system, just our body in general needs help. So we'll kind of cover that in the next couple episodes.
That sounds great.
So that's what we're doing with Erika. With this ebook, we chose to do shorter episodes because there are so many things that we want to cover as it relates to this and how it relates to women's health. So we're going to have smaller episodes, but a series of them.
Correct.
With Erika as we continue to talk through this.
Right. So before we sign off here, why don't you tell us where people can find you, though?
Yes.
Absolutely. So my big educational platform, I guess you could call it, would be my office, so Grounded Roots Chiropractic.
It's in
you're in
Sheboygan.
In Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So at Grounded Roots Chiropractic on Facebook or on Instagram. And then my personal page is at Erika Taylor 19. And that's where I share a lot of this non-toxic things to help our endocrine systems heal and less impact on our endocrine systems. I share a lot of that on my personal page. Just because I feel like a lot of my people aren't necessarily in Sheboygan to get adjusted, but if I can help them understand about their bodies and their nervous system and their endocrine system and heal their bodies, what they're doing at home, because what they do at home matters just as much as going and getting their systems regulated.
Right.
So
your reach is broader that way.
correct.
For
Yep.
sure.
So those are my biggest platforms, is at Grounded Roots Chiropractic or at Erika Taylor 19.
Love
I
it.
love it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
And thank you, Todd, at Mind Garden Media, for
Who's just as supportive as
He
my
is.
hypothalamus. He is really the root of this.
He is, isn't he? He absolutely is. We wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for him.
See, that's
That
what
is
I'm
a
saying.
fact.
Mhm.
Yeah. So if you are interested in doing a podcast, please reach out to Mind Garden Media. They're on Facebook. You can find them there. And also thank you to our listeners.
As always.
Absolutely. I
Mhm.
know we've got people all over the world, and we keep saying, "Oh, we have new people," and we forget to write it down. And of course, we didn't
still
again.
do.
But I do know, we've had people in well,
You said-
Sweden went crazy.
It did.
Which was really fun. But we've had people in Ukraine
Yes.
and
Bangladesh, you
Bangladesh
said
and
recently. Yep.
yes, all over, really all over. Argentina, I think we've got people there. It's fantastic. So thank you so much for listening. I think we have people in Japan listening now. Yeah, like they're just all over, and I feel bad that I'm not going to get them all, because we truly do appreciate you. So thank you for following along, and please do continue to follow along. This is going to be a really fun series with Erika. I know that we touched on a little bit of this stuff, like our periods and our menstrual cycles and things like that, but we have a lot more to talk about.
We certainly do.
A lot more, and
Yep.
it's going to be really fun, really interesting, and extremely valuable.
Absolutely.
So please do
no
go
matter
check-
where you are
Absolutely.
in your life.
Absolutely.
Right.
Please check out her ebook. Go find her at Grounded Roots or at Erika Taylor 19, because this stuff, it matters. It matters. Thank you. I was going to say it's life changing. I don't want to oversell.
Well, it is.
Because I'm sure it is
life-changing.
life changing.
Yeah.
Just go find it. Go get it. Go get her book, because it's really, well, you have 2 books now.
I have 2.
And I think that they absolutely have value. And these are not, sometimes for me, self-help books get to be so, they're just too much for me, and I can't always take it all in. These are small enough where you get to the point, like you get in, you get out,
It's
right?
easy.
And I really value that.
Yep.
Yes, they're easy reads, but they're valuable reads. So go check them out. You won't be sorry.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Erika.
much.
Till our next one then.
Bye.
Toodaloo.